Hey, what's up everybody? This is Superbrick501 and today I want to go over a system and gameplay feature that I think would fit incredibly well into New World and that I hope we get sometime down the road. And what I'm talking about is a ship and naval system. And the New World developers have actually been asked about this a few different times in interviews. And the main sentiment is that this is a system that they've thought about before, but it would be something that would be added in a larger update such as an expansion. And this isn't something that we would be getting anytime soon or something that the developers have said would guaranteedly be put in the game at any point. I do think it is a further down the road system that would fit really well into the game and fit the aesthetic incredibly well. And the main reason I want to go over this is just because I think it's something that's really interesting to talk about and could add some really interesting combat and content into the game. And there are many different systems and gameplay opportunities that would come with a ship and naval system, and the first part of that would be combat. Now, with New World already having the defending and attacking of settlements, with being able to set up different mounted weapons, the ship-to-ship combat in terms of shooting cannons at each other and shooting other weaponry at each other, that system would most likely be easy because we already have those type of weapons in the game, and we even have a cannon, so they could legitimately just put some of the other mounted weapons on the ships, and you have a pretty decent and already built-in combat system, and then you'd be able to board in between the ships and use your different weapons. So that base part of the combat is pretty much already completed for ship-to-ship combat, and most of the other combat when fighting ship-to-ship would just be them implementing a system of the actual ships themselves, so just the basis of naval combat and ships, and then the maneuverability of these ships. And I do think having something that's simple but still takes some skill and gives you control would be adding a system similar to what is in something like Sea of Thieves, where you just have your different sails and then you just turn your sails to go with whichever way the wind is going, and depending on how good your crew is, how fast they are changing those sails, your maneuverability will get better and better. And I think, like I said, having a system that's simple yet still requires skill to be good at it is going to be the best way to go about it. I don't think having some super complex system, they're going to need to do 30 different things to get your ship moving correctly, would end up being that fun. And with having this ship-to-ship combat, you also open up the possibilities of PvE fights, so going against other PvE ships out in the water, going up against just general sea life, so maybe there will be sharks out in the water that you can kill and skin and get different rare foods from, and that would also add in a ton of additional resources, a ton of additional crafting recipes, possibly some different character weapons if they want to go much more in depth and do stuff like having a harpoon that you level up and that is pretty much only used for water combat. But then you also have the possibility of having massive raid bosses out in the ocean that you can get a big group of ships to go out and fight. Like, imagine a year down the road when the first New World expansion comes out, you can all go make your ships, upgrade your ships, customize them, and then you and your whole company takes out all your ships and goes out and fights a massive kraken or some massive squid out in the middle of the ocean to get tons of high gear and rare resources. And tied into that could either be a ton of new recipes for creating different pieces of ships or items for ships through the crafting system, or it could possibly add a whole new crafting profession, like say a shipwright, and then you'd be able to level it up with all the different resources throughout the game and upgrade each part of a ship, making it better and better and better, kind of making your own personal ship or different company ships an extension of the gameplay progression. And then another really interesting gameplay opportunity is adding different islands out in the sea to be able to go explore. And they could essentially just add a new island with a new boss on it if they wanted to, or add this small island over here that has this new quest or something like that. And that could be a really good way for them to continuously add new small bits of content, because they can just pop up a new island out in the ocean that you could take your ship out to and do this new content. And then if they even want to go further with that, there could be the possibility of adding new settlements out in the ocean, to where you'd have to get your company, go out to these settlements, go out to these land masses and fight over these settlements. And this is something that's probably more of a pipe dream, but it would be pretty crazy if at some point in the game's life they would have settlements on islands that when you go to war with those settlements attacking or defending, there would also be ship battles tied in with that. So you'd have your settlement fight on land, but say you could start out in the water here where both companies set up on their ships and get ready, have this big battle in the sea, then take it to land. Like I said, that's a little bit more far-fetched and a little bit more of a pipe dream, but something like that would still fit the aesthetic so well for a new world and be some pretty incredible content. And then another pretty interesting system they can add is resource transportation or trade routes. So they could possibly add some new type of profession or activity where you have to take your ship and transport a resource from this side of the map to the other side of the map, and then you'd be able to level up in some way, get resources from that, and they could tie in the settlements to this. So you could possibly have like upgrades for your settlements, or you could open up additional quests for people to do this on their ships. And this could also tie in with the resources in the game, because how the gathering and crafting system work in New World, it's going to be pretty easy for them to add additional resources and add new crafting recipes. So they could potentially add new resources that are made for more high tier recipes, but these resources could say be out in the ocean or be somewhere on land or specific islands, but be incredibly heavy to carry. So people would want to put them on their ships, store them on their ships, and then transport them to different sections of the map to kind of tie in with that resource transportation. And that one's just a little bit of an idea, but like I said, that's still something that would very much fit into the aesthetic and element of New World. And then the last thing I want to talk about with the system like this is just generally how well a shipping and naval system ties in to the world of New World, because New World is essentially set in the 1800s. It has that more realistic grounding than most other MMOs have, and with the world building that has been created for New World, the aesthetic, the atmosphere, and the graphics, having sea content just takes that up a notch in my opinion. Because imagine with the graphics, the atmosphere, the rain, the fog, all that type of stuff in New World, imagine all that, but you're on a ship with a bunch of other people going out into a vast ocean, possibly running across sea monsters or different massive creatures or AI enemy ships or even other player ships, and how immersive that would legitimately be. Because I think that's one of the things New World absolutely does better than 99% of MMOs, is just the immersion in the graphics and the aesthetics of New World. Especially if you're just walking through a zone and it starts raining, you have the atmospheric fog or music going along with that. It all will just tie in incredibly well. So it's pretty much all I wanted to go over for a ship and naval system. And like I've said before, I think New World has a really good foundation. So after that, it's just content is king, and adding new systems like this will add a lot of longevity to the game. And I just think talking about systems and possibilities with New World like this is really interesting to me. So subscribe if you want to see more New World or other MMO videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about a shipping and naval system for New World. And thanks for watching.